Howdy guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and today I have some exhausts and Kawasaki ZX4RR. We are mounting several of the exhausts available to us on this bike, taking the bike to the dyno to get you the results that you may want to see before you commit to an exhaust purchase. Now we're going to be using an Akra exhaust. It's a full exhaust, stainless steel, nice carbon fiber can. This was actually developed for the ZX4RR when that bike came out. We've adapted it. It's a direct fit. It works really well. We'll show you what that's all about. On the bike right now, we have a full titanium Graves Works 2 exhaust. It sounds great and it produces some good results. We're going to test that one, and one more exhaust is going to be the M4. We're going to take this bike to the dyno and Alex is going to get us some results. We're going to show you what this thing sounds like and we're going to have some fun. Let's go to the dyno. All right, we are back in the studio. I'm holding the results. Alex got to have some fun and make some noise. Hope you guys enjoyed that footage. Now we're gonna be joined by Alex. He's gonna tell us what he found with this bike. We have some cool dyno charts, right? Alex here is one of our engineers. He is tasked with tuning these bikes nowadays. I've stepped away. He's the man. He's your guy. He's gonna tell us a nice story, or maybe 3 different stories, right?
Yep.
Let's first start with the stock exhaust, right? This is an exhaust shootout between these exhausts.
Yeah.
Let's brief over what we found with tuning around the stock exhaust first.
Stock exhaust is heavy, ugly, and doesn't make as much power. So you're definitely gonna wanna put an aftermarket one on there.
Stock one's like over 20 pounds, right?
20.3 pounds.
That's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Now, many people talk about this bike, they're disappointed with the weight. I think the weight of this bike comes in all of the subsystems that are made cheap because Kawasaki knew we're gonna rip into these bikes and get rid of all that stuff. We've already got this bike down way below, 400 pound mark. And, just going from a stock exhaust to an aftermarket exhaust is a pretty big deal, right?
Yep.
Before we get into the actual engine performance that is possible through the use of these, maybe we should talk about like the materials and the weight reduction, right? Weight reduction is a performance parameter.
Sure.
That's important to me. So the Graves that's mounted on here is just over 6 pounds.
Yeah.
The Acra that I was holding in the intro, that's about 9.5-ish pounds. And the M4 came in at just over 12.5 pounds. So, just that weight loss is a pretty big performance gain in my view.
Yeah, agreed.
What do we find about the actual performance possible through the use of these exhausts with some tuning, right? Did you tune around each exhaust?
Yeah, so we started off with the Graves tune first, and as you might be able to tell, we have a custom Graves system which has a bung welded in each header, so we can tune individually per cylinder, which I did, and then using that map, I kind of tailored the M4 and the Akrapovic, even though those exhausts do not have the individual bungs in each cylinder.
Yeah, I think once you set the individual flow rates for each cylinder, the entire intake and exhaust track really influence that. So once you set it, even with the one exhaust, I think that's valid on the other ones. You're just offsetting the whole range.
It's all offsets from one cylinder to the next.
Was there a lot of difference between these different exhausts?
No, it's really kind of splitting hairs, to be honest. Each one has a little advantage over the other ones. What we found on the dynos, that the M4 was the best for peak, the Akrapovic was the best in the mid-range, and the Graves was the best in the low range.
Now, what do you mean by low range here? Like, some people may think that they should be cruising around 5,000 RPMs.
Well, what I mean by low range is kind of in that 6,000 to 8,000 RPM range, mid-range, from about there to like 11 or 12,000, and then peak above 12,000 RPM all the way to the red line. But we're talking small differences, and you'll see that everything's plus or minus 1 horsepower roughly between the 3 of them.
I think looking at this graph, me personally, I could use any one of these with pretty much equivalent lap time results.
Agreed.
I don't think one would shine over the other, where one will have a higher peak. That's offset by a little trough in the other section where the other one picks up. And like it's all pretty much in RPM ranges where I use the bike. So whether I'm using it here or there, it kind of will really just depend on the track we're using, right? Daytona,
Correct,
we
yeah.
want peak.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
You go to a tight little track like Jennings, peak doesn't really matter. It's off the corner that you're gonna use it more. If somebody comes to us and asks, which exhaust should I get? Is there an objective way of telling that person with confidence what they should get?
Well, my honest opinion, if it was my money, my bike, I would probably get whichever one I can get cheapest or fastest, or a combination of those two.
I think the availability of replacement parts is also pretty important, right? Mm-hmm. So we are actually testing exhausts from 3 major manufacturers. They have been around for a long time. They're gonna be around for a long time. So the availability of parts from those guys will likely be very good. M4, and Graves is United States based.
Yep.
Akra is in Slovenia, so take that into consideration. What about some cost? M4 comes in around $1,300. Graves will run you $2,250. That is expensive, but consider the amount of technology that goes into this. Then Akra, I haven't really seen it in a US retailer yet, but when I look abroad, it's about $1,500 for that. So there really is no objective way of saying this is what you should get.
Yeah.
These are the parameters, and this is why we make these videos, and then you choose based on that.
I mean, we can also talk a little bit about sound, although I don't have a whole lot to say because to me, they all sounded good and they all sound very similar to each other.
You were already...
At least on the dyno when I'm revving them to 15,000 RPM.
Yeah, 15,000 RPMs, it's tough to distinguish between the tones, at least for myself.
One other thing to note on the sound topic is the Graves comes with a baffle, which you can remove. The Akrapovic does not, as far as I know. Ours did not come with any baffle.
I think that's an extra spare part that you could get.
Potentially, yeah. And then the M4 comes with 2 baffles. We did not test either of them because the exhaust we had did not have the baffle in, but it does come with 2 options for baffles.
Okay, did you test this with or without the baffle?
I tested it with both, actually.
Okay, any difference?
Slight difference. With the baffle in, you're losing about somewhere around 0.7, 0.8 horsepower. At the peak, mid-range and low range is the same. No change.
Does the sound really get affected all that much?
A little bit. It does sound like it's maybe a few decibel reduction.
Probably on the lower RPMs running around the streets. Now you've ridden this thing at the track, right?
Yes.
What are your impressions with it?
It handles really well.
Yeah.
Handles very well. It's a very smooth bike. I love the quick shifter and auto blip on it. It's just you have to know how to ride it. You have to keep it up high in the RPMs, about 11,000, 12,000 RPM and above, or else you're not going anywhere very fast.
How does this feel compared to the Ninja 400?
You know, my opinion when I rode it the first time was this bike fits in perfectly between the Ninja 400 and the ZX6R. So it's kind of like a ZX6R with less power, but with the handling of a Ninja 400.
This is an awesome, fun machine, and now with the addition of these exhausts that we've tested, any one of them will make the bike great. There you have it, guys. That's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you found it informative. We try to break these things down for you in a way that you get all the information that we've collected, and then you can make your best choice. I want to thank you for watching. Check out tsdindustries.com. We have a whole bunch of parts ready to go for you. We do have flashes and aftermarket street equipment for these bikes, so you can look for that there. I also like comments, so please drop me a comment below. We'll do our best to answer those comments. I like to know what you guys think about our content, about anything that we do here. So I hope to hear from you. Ride safe. Thank you for watching. See you later.